Hi, I'm Monica, and I'm the country head at MMA India. So, as you all know, MMA is a not for profit global trade body comprising of 800 plus members globally and a hugely growing chapter in India. It is the only marketing trade organization that brings together the entire ecosystem under one roof, be it the marketers, the publishers, the tech enablers, the agencies, or the media sellers. It is led by CMOs and it is helping marketers lead the change in ways that enables future breakthroughs. And the way we do it is we cultivate inspirations by driving innovation. We build marketing capabilities for marketing organizations through fostering know how, the playbook being one such case in point, which I'm going to discuss with you guys. The other being to champion the effectiveness and impact through research, providing tangible ROI and measurement. And lastly, advocacy, like every other trade body. So I'm hoping to be able to have you guys engage with MMA and gain from all the industry rich work that we're doing. So with that, let me dive straight into what I'm going to discuss today with you on the Modern Marketer's Guide to MarTech Maturity. So, the Modern Marketer's Guide to MarTech Maturity is a very unique playbook which attempts to help marketers navigate the journey of modern marketing and move from one stage to another, given given its importance and given the need to be equipped from in terms of MarTech capabilities for successful business. So let's look at, before I talk to you more about the playbook, let's look at how the industry has evolved from the 30s to now, which is taking you back around about 100 years, right? So in the 1930s, the organizations had a very manufacturer orientation where it was more about focusing on production, focusing on setups and on product in a way, right? Then it moved to a brand orientation where it was about enabling a strong brand, enabling insights which can help the brand resonate with their customers. And then we moved into an era which was more consumer led, where it was about how could we enable the customer better? How could we help the customer more? Now we have moved into an era which is here to stay, which is the customer experience orientation, which has become hugely important and hugely key because it's all about delivering rich customer experiences, be it in the current be it in the current journey where the customer is, or across the lifetime value of a customer when he or she is engaged with you. In fact, as per our MMA study, capabilities to deliver customer experiences is one of the key areas of organizational success. And hence, we believe that the playbook would really enable organizations to up the quotient when it comes to building the right fit in terms of capability and performance. So, capabilities is essentially nothing but ensuring you have the right MarTech stacks, the right tools to drive effective customer experiences and personalized engagement, right? And technology plays a very, very key role in there. So, so trying to leverage the right set of tools will help marketers provide the optimal customer experience, which will in turn enable a high level of loyalty and advocacy. To better manage the guidelines, the principles for MarTech capabilities, we embarked on a very extensive industry study to understand the current state of MarTech in organizations and to understand how differently are mature organizations behaving from the nascent organizations, and what is it that is contributing to the success of mature organizations, which the beginners and the nascent organizations can learn from. So as I was saying that been we've undertaken a massive study across 100 plus organizations to understand how the current state of MarTech looks. What we discovered is that organizations are spread across 5 stages. Stage 1, initial stage. Stage 2, the nascent stage. Stage 3, is the emerging stage. Stage 4 is the connected stage. And stage 5 is the multi moment stage. So each of these stages are essentially representing the maturity curve of organizations. And as you can see, that the nascent and the emerging stage are are most are most populated and are highest in terms of penetration, which is a good representation of adoption of MarTech stacks, where between stage 2 and stage 3, we have close to 72% of organizations. So we definitely have a fair view of how organizations are embracing MarTech and how rapidly they're embracing it. And when we talk nascent, what we essentially mean is business units which have crossed the beginner stage, but which are still in the early stages and trying to understand and build the right MarTech stacks. Whilst the emerging stage is a lot more mature and has already enabled an enterprise level coordination, which means it is integrating with other departments and it is far more collaborated in terms of the way it is deploying its MarTech stacks, but it still has fewer stakeholders, and hence the level of utilization is still lower. So that's what these stages mean, and that's what these stages represent. Now, if I were to look at which are the mature categories which we can see are adopting MarTech actively and effectively, in that what you will see is you can see that BFSI, right, and e-commerce are the most active categories when it comes to MarTech adoption and have 55% and 67% penetration respectively, where they are definitely far more evolved, are far more aware, and are higher on the learning curve in terms of MarTech stack adoption. If we now look at what is the view and these are all insights which are coming from a primary study which MMA conducted to support the MarTech maturity guide, right? So now if you look at what is the view in terms of investing into MarTech stacks over the next 5 years, the view is definitely very optimistic and very aggressive, because as you can see, be it large organizations, be it medium organizations, or be it small organizations, are clearly looking at rampantly increasing investments and growing much more engaged with capabilities to be able to deliver on organizational KPIs and subsequent success. So if we were to now look at what is it that when investments are being looked at, what is it that organizations and leaders really want from MarTech stacks, and what is it that will ensure that they are continuously looking at increased investments? So there are certain areas which emerge as most important. So let's look at what those are, right? The first one is ease of use, because it's a myth to believe that MarTech is only for the tech guys and the tech teams and the IT teams. It is for every single profession, every single department in an organization, and hence it becomes very, very important that any MarTech stack that the organization invests into is easy to use, so that every department can gain from it and every department can self-learn it. The second feature, which is most important, is the ease to integrate it with other stacks, because you already have several stacks in the organization which cannot be uprooted, but which need to be further enhanced, enriched, refreshed. And hence, the stacks which are bought to top it should be easy to integrate. That's the second important area which organizations look for. And the third area is easy customization, because it is not one size fits for all. Hence, any MarTech stack investment made it is important that it is easy to customize it and easy to fit it into a larger stack which the organization is working with and is allowing them to meet the requirements they have. So now, if you look at the top lines where we've spoken about the kind of categories that are investing heavily. We've spoken about the stages at which various organizations are. Spoken about, the forecast in terms of how much of an investment is MarTech going to, and be able to and sort of attract in the coming years. And we've also spoken about what really is important for organizations when they evaluate stacks. So if you really look at it in terms of a bird's eye view, 40% of organizations are at a nascent stage in MarTech capabilities, while 30% are at an emerging level. Uh, E-commerce and BFSI rule the roost. 87% as a whole are ready to increase spends over the next 5 years. 44% said, this is interesting, 44% said they have a strong digital business culture cultivated in the employees. And at MMA, we strongly believe and we've encouraged our members, our organizations to build data cultures, because only when you think data, you culturally orient yourself as a data led organization, is when you will utilize the stacks better, is when you will increase the investments you make in stacks that allow you to mine data well, right? And what is most interesting is 32% of organizations have also started using MarTech to understand and model revenue profitability, which is definitely a very good sign in terms of the use cases to which MarTech has been put. So if we look at what the playbook, we've definitely looked at all the data very closely to be able to create a very rich handbook for the industry to navigate the journey of modern marketing. So if we really look at what is it this playbook can actually help the industry with, it's a couple of important areas. One, it it definitely will attempt to decode and understand the MarTech landscape better in terms of what's changing, how it's changing, and it is supported with a lot of use cases which can help you learn from how other marketers or organizations have done it effectively. So, based on all the learnings we built, we've created MarTech maturity frameworks which help organizations really understand the straw man in terms of a MarTech strategy and understand the key elements behind a robust MarTech strategy. We've also looked at ways in which organizations can assess MarTech stacks and select the right MarTech stacks, which will eventually help deliver on business goals. Lastly, but very important, is the playbook covers an aspect on enabling governance in organizations, because it's one thing to take decisions on what stacks to use, what goals to align it to, but it's the other thing to ensure that it's utilized effectively across departments, and it is acting as one of the key flagship platforms on which organizations are taking decisions, which requires an element of governance, which requires an element of uh, of collaboration to ensure that there is value which is getting transferred through MarTech stacks across the organization. So we spoke about the playbook having the MarTech maturity model in the earlier slide, and what you should understand that when we talk of a MarTech maturity model, what are the areas we actually are looking at, or what are we trying to really address in a model like that? So, of course, customer is at the heart of the entire MarTech decision making initiative. So, hence, customer strategy becomes extremely important as one of the key elements. Data maturity, which we spoke about, and which stems from data culture to quite an extent, is another key area when one is devising a MarTech maturity model. And hence, one needs to ask the right questions internally. Analytics, again, because MarTech allows a lot of rich data, a lot of rich understanding of implications of investments being made to either retain existing customers or to acquire new customers. Analytics maturity is an area to definitely sort of check on. The fourth is campaign maturity, which we typically would put in the bucket of ad tech, which again becomes very important to sort of have clarity so that eventually you're able to measure effectively. And you're also able to ensure that when you're looking at campaign maturity, are you also looking at areas like having invested into ad fraud tools or third party tools which are ensuring quality media placement, which are ensuring inventory which is not fraudulent, because that is wastage in terms of spends, that is not effective in terms of ROI, and that is incorrect practice which has to be nipped. So ensuring that there are ad fraud tools incorporated as a part of a mature campaign model, to weed out the potential of ad fraud. Overall digital maturity, which is the fifth aspect and is all encompassing, and technology maturity, where it also means having uh, a fair, having the right people to run the stacks for you, investing into skills so that the technology maturity curve moves upward, and there is a larger benefit translated out of investments made in MarTech in MarTech stacks. So these are the six buckets in which MarTech maturity should be really looked at, and based on which a model is recommended to be designed. When we spoke about customer strategy, just a little bit there, which we hear a lot about, but which actually gets powered extensively by something which we call moments marketing, and which is where MarTech again plays a huge role in being able to trigger the right actionable creative, or the right messaging to the right customer at the right time. So, be it whether the customer is in the consideration stage, be it whether the customer is in the purchase stage, or is in a very mature purchase stage where is closely evaluating, buying the product, and of course, then there is a post purchase stage. So, it's about how you capture the customer across the customer journey. So, we spoke about the MarTech maturity model, and in light of which, what a well designed model really will do in for marketing organizations is what you see on the screen. It will allow you to ensure you have a single view of the customer across the journey uh, which starts right at a customer being a prospect to a customer becoming an advocate. It allows you better personalization, which is where the a large chunk of conversions really take place. It allows you to automate the entire communication journey when the customer is engaged with you, including the CRM piece of it. Of course, it allows better collaboration internally. It allows better journey mapping to know when you should upsell what to which customer. It allows you to take a lot of effective real time decisions, which are very, very important, because it's really that micro moment is when you can really win a customer or lose a customer. And lastly, of course, it allows you with an attribution where now, besides, of course, the larger effort that the industry is making to map cross media to and see which medium delivers effectively and should be invested more into. There are also a lot of rich ways in which attribution can be mapped using technology, especially when you're investing heavily into digital as a medium. So whilst we are coming to an end where we've spoken about what those insights were which we sought from the industry study we did, what is it that the playbook attempts to do, how a MarTech maturity model needs to be looked at, and what are the key parameters there, as well as how it will eventually benefit an organization if it's done rightly. Here is where, as I touched upon right in the beginning, governance becomes very important, because as you can see that different organizations playing different roles, and are more or less working in silos. This is where collaboration becomes very important, and for hence governance becomes very important. Otherwise, if the departments are not talking to each other through the tools they use, through the platforms, then they're not going to be able to get the kind of desired results they wish to from investments made in MarTech. So, with that, what we essentially mean is it's important to design something which we call the responsibility matrix, which clearly defines whose responsibility it is to ensure that MarTech stacks are better utilized. How is one department engaging with the other department in context of of governance, to be able to get the most out of it collectively. The second piece is, of course, governance in terms of data, where there is right amount of data sharing, but yet it is consensus led without privacy getting impacted, but ensuring that data is being leveraged, which is being collected and managed through a single customer view or through a customer data platform, right? So when it comes to governance, it is about making sure that there is a responsibility allocated to a core team who is working across teams to ensure uh, right utilization, who's also ensuring right access to the right amount of data, who's also ensuring training in terms of making sure that at all given points in time, even if they are easy to use stacks, they need to be trained, they need to be equipped to manage it. And hence, there is an ongoing process enabled to ensure that the right skills are imparted to be able to use it. And of course, being able to share learnings with each other, which can in turn encourage better usage of MarTech stacks, as well as it can also help review. Because remember that MarTech stacks is not a one time initiative, it is ongoing. You have to keep re-looking and refreshing your MarTech strategy to understand what you don't need, what you need, how you want to sort of in or what are the new investments you want to make. And hence the process of enabling continuous improvement also falls under MarTech governance. So with that, it brings me to a very interesting close. I hope you see value in the playbook, and I hope it helps you take the right decisions for your organization, and it helps you succeed in your journey in modern marketing. And as Bill Gates has put it, and I love the quote, and hence I love to close with this, that information technology and business are becoming inextricably interwoven. He says, I don't think anybody can talk meaningfully about one without talking about the other. So we it sums up how important MarTech is and how we need to definitely embrace it in our businesses. Thank you.